Flea flicker on 3. Break.
You're watching Sportz Mouth on YouTube.com.
Shopping Center, Aaron's, in Woodbridge, Virginia. We were talking about the death of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, and you know, I had kind of mixed feelings about it last week because I was kind of, I hate to say I was happy to see the man pass on, but at the same time, he did nothing for black people, nothing. As a matter of fact, if you went to jail and you were found innocent of your crime later on, you didn't have an opportunity under his letter of the law to even have that removed or, you know, have yourself lawyered out, let's say that. This guy was terrible. You know, he was appointed back in 1986 to the Supreme Court by, of all people, Ronald Reagan.
That says a lot.
Yeah. Well, that tells me everything I need to know about
that. Why do people say that he didn't do nothing for black? Why do we need somebody to do something for us? Like, hold on, man. Before
you answer the question, can I answer that question?
Hold on. If you're talking about being just, I understand. But if you're talking about doing something specifically for the black culture, I don't understand.
Well, let me educate you. It's not a big secret that under the eyes of the law, black people are going to be unfairly judged. Do you disagree with that?
This is case by case, but
I think it's more than case by case. I think it's rampant, and I think he was one of the linchpins involved in the entire legal process, considering he wrote the law. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't like somebody the law was dictated to. He wrote the law. That
he was like
put
a
us,
Hoover kind of guy.
He was worse than Hoover, in my opinion. He had more power than Hoover.
What's your boy's name that was down there in, what he was at, Salmon? What's his name?
Bull Connor. Well, you know, I think he comes from that same school.
That type
you know, and it certainly, while he didn't have a direct effect on every individual, but his overall laws that he wrote into practice were just terrible. I encourage you to do some research on the guy. He's gone now.
So you
but his laws are
just
still in effect.
He's evil. He just wasn't a good guy.
He wasn't a good guy. I mean, you know, there's like
and
case
racist.
law.
You might want to say racist.
Well, 9 times out of 10, his beliefs affected who?
Us.
Okay.
As a people. Okay?
I think that's what
us
you mean
as a country. As a country.
Now, do you think that President Obama will make a choice, obviously, to fill the position?
I certainly hope so.
I don't think Obama make no decision. I'm just gonna put it out there.
You know what? By law, he has the right to. Okay, and by law, he should.
Yeah, he ain't off the clock yet.
You know, he's not a lame duck president. That doesn't happen until you actually elect the next president, and then he has that little lag time in office.
I don't
he's
think
not
he
there.
ever been on the clock.
Oh man, what are you saying? Talk to me about it.
What I'm saying is this. I think there's a
We just steered in a different direction.
There's
Wait
a
a minute.
driving
I need a
force
seatbelt. Hold on.
that predicts or that propels this nation.
The power
forward
structure behind
and
the scenes.
And
Okay.
I think the president is merely just a pawn.
A face.
No,
Yes.
I totally disagree with that. And I'm going to tell you why.
I do.
I'm going to tell you why.
I do.
While I do understand the direction you're coming from, I totally disagree with the premise of it because on the face, this president has had more effect on good things happening in this economy. When he took over, we were flatlined. We bottomed out.
Let me ask you one question. They say the president's supposed to be the most powerful man in the world.
In the free world. Yeah.
Okay? So, why then does the most powerful people, you never see them reference him at all?
Well,
You never see him at the table with these guys.
well let me explain
and
this.
to add to that, he only makes about $250,000 a year.
Well, it's not even about the money for him. It's more about the power of the position. So when you're sitting here saying that as a black man who's never had this office before, okay, you know, I don't care what the rest of the world says about him because actually they're not in his position.
Well, I'm not saying that it's not epic. It's a good time in history, right? But the power of that office, we've seen that the power of that office is not great.
Well,
I mean, it's a couple of them that have
if
been
you want
killed.
to use it as a bullet
So the
pulpit,
power-
you can.
I'm just saying this.
But he's
That
fighting.
position
hold on,
is
he's
not
fighting-
exempt.
He's fighting against people in his own nation.
Yeah, that didn't want him there
In the first
from
place.
The right.
Thank you.
I
mean,
think
I'm sitting here like,
we kind
Bubba
of looking
immersed
at this very superficial. What I'm saying is this, okay? It's a driving force behind this whole system that we even call the American dream.
Well,
Okay? Now understand this. A lot of people say he ain't do this, he ain't do that, he ain't do that. If this is the most powerful position, we understand structure, we understand the...
It's still politics.
It's still politics.
Still politics.
But that's for a reason. That's how it's structured, right?
Right.
But everybody think, okay, Congress won't let him do this, Congress won't let him do that, Congress won't let him do that. They're getting all this dice, right?
Okay.
It's not on accident,
Well, we understand that.
okay?
We
But then
understand
if you talk about Kennedy, white guy.
Right.
You talk about Lincoln, white guy.
Well, sure.
These guys were
all the
uprooted,
ones
though.
before him were white
These guys, any one of
Yeah,
them
they
talking
been for
about
one black one, so,
redistribution
you know.
of wealth in
Right.
any kind of way
Right.
is uprooted. I'm
Well,
talking about flatline, killed, off the face of the planet.
but you have to understand this too. They came from the money that you're speaking of. They
The
were
thing
bought.
I'm saying is that
those
position
presidencies
is not
were
exempt
bought.
from anything.
Well, I disagree.
So the
I disagree.
power, I don't think, I just believe the power, maybe to society, but to the people that run the country for real, that the president is that office doesn't hold the power
He's not a bought
that make
politician.
people believe.
Okay, the office is not a bought politician's office.
No, but they
Okay.
say he was the first one that was selected, not elected.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of on a.
Yeah,
It's-
it's a different,
It's almost
different
like-
level. of
what
what's
about
going
the
on
judge?
here.
It's coming about, you know.
Well, I'm gonna come back around to my original topic. My original topic was about who I thought Antonin Scalia was and who I believe, you know, a better position a better person should hold that position. Let me put it that way.
Well, that should be up and coming if we have the president.
Well, you need another Thurgood Marshall. Okay, you definitely need somebody in that
Can we go
position.
dig them out?
I wish we could.
But like
I
you
really
said
do.
though,
I wish we could.
this
Weekend at Bernie's
is that remnant of people that you're talking about as far as around in them judges positions and stuff like they chip off the whole block. They come from slavery like their ancestors. Like so they were in position and they're gonna be there and they will kinda influence.
Well,
so if
it's
it's not him,
a-
it'll be somebody else.
It's a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, it'll be
It's
somebody
one of
else.
these deals.
And it's
that-
not all his fault. I'm gonna just put it like that.
Oh, whose fault? Scalia?
Yeah.
Oh, please, man.
Please
When
believe
you-
that
when
it's
you have a-
more.
So let me ask you a question. So his passing going to make this a better situation for us?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
It might be somebody
I think
worse.
so. No, I think
It could
I
be
think
somebody
so.
worse.
Listen,
But I'm just saying all the blood ain't on his hands.
Because I'm
Trust me.
telling you, now
Because
I'm only
he-
speak for
he's
me.
following
I'm only
orders
gonna
as
speak for me.
well.
I've never heard this guy until he died.
Wait a minute.
Listen. I'm only speaking for me. I haven't heard of this guy until he died. You ain't nobody. What Biggie said? You ain't nobody until somebody kill you.
That's what he said.
Yeah. So now we know who this person is because he's dead. Okay.
But everybody
Now,
that
does-
somebody know who he
Okay.
is.
Yeah. But do you know who? Did you know who he was?
No.
Nobody knew who this guy was.
I knew.
But everybody
You
and
knew?
somebody
I knew.
knows
Okay.
who he is. I mean, he a major player.
So right
And
now,
Ronald Reagan knew, and we knew him.
Right.
You know what he was all about.
okay, we knew Ronald Reagan because he was president. But after bottom out. Let's go bottom out. We talking about Scalia. Again, I've never heard of this guy until now. You ain't nobody till somebody kill you, okay?
But you might be following some of the rules that he institutes.
Well, you are.
And I'm not just gonna say
You are.
him. You know what? We
Listen,
can go
you got
on
Clarence Thomas
about
up
this
there.
thing.
You got Clarence Thomas.
So who's next?
Well,
Judge Judy?
whoever it's got to be better than who they got up there now.
Let me say this.
Right now, the seat
this
is empty.
this is some research for you to do. Okay. The
Yeah,
the
that's the best person
Rothschild,
in there.
the father of the Rothschilds,
Oh,
made a
gosh.
statement
There we
that
go.
he said, "I don't care who the president is, I control the money." That's a huge statement to make.
Rockefellers.
Listen. We're aware that there are power brokers behind the scenes.
can't
That
be-
takes
but-
nothing away from the office of the presidency.
Takes everything away.
It
from
does
you.
not.
If you
it
have a
simply
man
does
that
not.
said, look, flat out, okay, it wasn't like he whispered it. It wasn't like it was tweeted it.
Donald Trump is making utterances every day to get into this
But
office.
everybody knows Donald Trump is a joke.
Well, you might say that
I'm
now,
talking about
but
somebody
but-
that-
but
I'm
just
talking
so
about a
serious.
major
Well,
player.
let's keep it real though.
The
You
banking
saying
system
Donald,
that we use
everybody
to the day,
thinking
he
that Donald
created.
Trump is a joke, but he's leading the polls
I know.
right now.
Oh,
He ain't gonna
gosh.
win nothing though.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I like him because he exposing the rest.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and on this note right here, I'm just gonna make it very clear my position. The president has the legal right and the moral responsibility to put a better person in that position. It wouldn't be a bad idea if they decide that he's not going to put somebody in that position, I nominate him for the position.
Okay, so listen, but we're talking about something we can't control. We're talking about something we can't control. Let's talk about something we can control as black folks.
What we talking about?
I'm waiting.
Okay, so
Talk to us.
especially the brothers. Why do we date outside our race?
Patrice.
I can't answer that question.
Patrice.
No, right.
said
I would
brothers.
Let me
I'm
give
not
us
a
a
brother.
reference. then.
Last
Let me
time I
give us a
checked,
reference.
Why would
I'm
date
not a
outside our
brother.
race?
I'm gonna tell you like this myself. Me personally, I love chocolate. Just
You ain't never
Yeah, I got
dealt with a white
sweet
woman
tooth.
before.
me.
You ain't never dealt with no white
I
woman.
love chocolate.
White, they got white chocolate too, man.
I love chocolate.
You got to specify what
mama
type of
say,
chocolate you
black
talking
and the
about.
berry, the
Ain't but
sweet
one,
and juice.
ain't
Is
but
that
one
what they
chocolate,
say?
dude.
Yeah, but
Well,
if
you
it's
ain't
too
never had
black,
no
it
white
ain't
chocolate?
use.
No.
Oh,
Well, it exists. Trust me.
I know
exists.
one thing. I know. I've
But I
talked
know
to.
there's-
Go ahead.
I know there's people that, like your Wesley Snipes and your other people, that's their preferences
like,
outside
yeah,
of
they
the race.
really have
Let me say
said.
this. Let me say this. As
No,
far
you
as
ain't
as far as
white chocolate.
racial
You stop it.
interracial dating, I got quite a bit of it going on in my family. All right, I got mixed family from both sides. My grandson is actually part of it. Like us on Facebook and add us as your friend.
You're watching Sportz Mouth on YouTube.com. You like that?
You can win a 7-Eleven gift card when you subscribe to our YouTube page.
What's up? Like us on Facebook and add us as your friend.
You're watching Sportz Mouth on YouTube.com.
Well, but he has white blood. He has white blood. running through him.
Where the blood?
The bloodline.
I understand the
But,
bloodline
okay,
comes from the
wait.
dad.
So since we're gonna go right, I feel a little odd about that. So why is it that if the daddy black, he black? But
Because
if
that's
the
where the
dad-
bloodline come from.
I understand that, but don't be trying to just name. You know what I mean?
But my thing is, but why do we do it though? But why do we do it? Okay, do we date?
What you mean we?
Let me ask you a question, Tim. Let me
Why-
ask you a
Why do
question.
they do
Let me
it?
ask you a question. Now, I'm gonna say this first. It doesn't matter whether
Spit it
you're
out.
black, white, Asian, or none of that.
Black,
We
white,
talking
brown,
about
yellow.
characteristics here, okay? If you talk too much, if you don't know your position, if you complain all day, every day, you understand what I'm saying? If you want to attack people, you understand what I'm saying? This is the type of stuff where I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other races, because it does. What I'm saying is this: a lot of these things are, or in other ethnic groups, they are taught how to deal with. Let me say this. It was a young African lady I was speaking with, right? She told me her responsibility was to prepare the food for her dad. No.
That's what I thought I was going to. Like,
Go ahead.
She said
Out there
her
on the farm.
responsibility was to prepare the food for her dad when he gets home. Okay, her responsibility was to serve her father, right? And I guess doing the different things around how. What I'm saying is that's their culture.
It's culture.
So now, once she gets a husband, she's already in a servant
But that's a situation of her. The husband is used to that type of culture. I'm talking.
No.
But listen.
We're
No,
talking about
this is
just
her
dating,
dad.
like,
This was her
dating.
dad.
Okay,
but I'm coming around to that. Now, in the black culture, and look, if the woman work like you work, ain't no cooking.
Right.
If you want to cook, go in there and cook yourself.
Okay, but see, this is my
I'm
thing.
off.
Right. Okay, this is my thing. I have people in my family, uncles, that love they want their chocolate. But I see them gawking or but listen, or they're not being pushed.
I think it's a character issue. The character is what men look for. Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Now the outer
I
appearance
want
is
somebody to
good,
get it like I'm getting.
but if you got a bad attitude, guess what's gonna happen? That's gonna get real old.
Well, you
real
know
quick.
what? Let me say this, because I've been down in this road a few times myself. I dated a white woman early on in life. Okay, dated a few of them in the military.
Chinese?
The
How about Chinese?
real,
Too passive for me.
but he
Hawaii.
came on
Hawaii.
back. He came back.
Too
You know,
passive
once
for
you
me.
go
Hawaiian,
back.
you
what
know,
if you got Hawaiian, you get some Samoa, you get
a
a
little
Go ahead.
more Samoan.
Oh,
A little more Samoan.
Hold on,
you a
wait.
freak.
Y'all
So
turning
you a
the
freak.
show somewhere
Hold
else.
on, but I want to hear. I want to
you
hear.
a freak.
The deal is, though, there are major differences between the black culture and the white culture. And, well, that, you know, it depends on the person. It depends on the person.
Everything is
I
case by
dated a
case.
white girl from New York, and she was anything but passive. Matter of fact, she was more on the black side than I would have ever thought. Okay, being raised by black women, having black sisters, and you know, so on and so forth, and now having a daughter. My daughter brings this issue up all the time because I'm like, you ain't dating him.
But no,
You know?
you can love if you got the chemistry with an individual. I don't care if they're green, purple, orange. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is this: it's a set of qualities that I can identify with because I come from that culture.
Right.
Now, I know it exists in other culture because nobody's culturally exempt from anything.
Right.
You got bad attitudes in every culture. You got homosexuality in every culture. You got thieves in every culture. You got bad cooks in every.
You got
everything in
But
every
listen,
culture.
but they say the reason why us as black men would date outside the race because she's nice. She doesn't have fake hair, fake eyelashes. She's not controlling.
But this is the thing. This is the thing, right?
That's
Whoa,
changing,
wait. I
We
grew
know
this.
yours. We
Look,
know yours.
I can't peel off no lashes neither. If you look, you can get a little close. They real.
But
too.
doesn't that kind of insult you? I mean, then you
No,
find that
look. I've ran into in my 36 years, right? I've ran into. You have some black women that grow up in a, you know, decent community where it was a little paper. You know, they people had a little paper. They grew up in it, and they grew up differently.
Well,
So it's not so much of the fact to where is that it's a particular individual. It's characteristics because she's black, but you would think
Okay,
she's just passive. She's not real confrontational. You know, she ain't talking about no money. People's got money.
Okay,
She come from money.
hold on. Now, not to be making a whole lot of general statements, every individual's different.
Right.
Every individual's different. So I don't care if the culture says you do things one way. Look, our black women should be set apart. They should be set on a higher pedestal,
I disagree.
in my opinion.
I disagree.
I think they should.
I
disagree.
disagree. I think
disagree.
they should be.
I
And
disagree.
why do you disagree?
Because again, I don't see it as a color berry. You understand what I'm saying?
you're not looking at
I'm
reality,
saying
'cause there
it
is a
like
color
this.
berry.
I'm saying it like this. if you got a bad attitude, you got a bad attitude. Our women, I'm saying from my point of view, from a lot of women that I grew up around, and they need some schooling, okay? They need to be tutored on how to be a woman.
But
Let's just be
sometimes,
honest.
Byron, some of that comes
The femininity
from
is
bad
gone.
situations already
That's
that they
what I'm
turn
saying.
sour.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's going to take a special individual to make them back sweet again.
No, it's gonna take an individual with a lot of patience,
You know, let's
which a lot of us don't have.
Let's just
I ain't
say,
seeing it in you right now.
let's just
Byron, but
say,
there's a reason. Let me say this to you. There's a reason why you get up out your bed every morning and go drive that bus. There's a reason why you get up and do your thing that you do. There's a reason why you're here. You know what the reason is?
What? What's the reason?
You married her. That sister you got at home. If it wasn't for that sister.
I love my sister.
Right. But
Let's not get it
but
twisted,
right.
man.
But that reason.
Let's
But
not
listen.
get it
But
twisted.
listen.
Y'all sound
But
a little
no.
Because I'm saying,
No.
on the
I get what
outside
you're saying.
looking in, on the outside
But
looking
there's a
in,
reason. If you told that to me, let me say this, and I might be wrong, but I don't think so. If you got that passive woman, babe, I ain't going to work today. All right, well, stay home.
that don't have nothing. That don't have
I'm
nothing
just
to do
saying.
with the past. That don't have nothing to do
No,
with
but
a
let
woman
me tell you.
saying,
Let me tell you. Let me
"All
tell you
right,
this.
all right."
Let me tell you this. When it snows Sunday, I'm gonna give it up to my wife. I said I will stay home. Why? The rose is fine. Go to work.
Of course, you got to bring that
Go to
chicken
work.
home. Let's understand
And
something.
look, it's
Let's
not the fact
understand
that you
something.
might not need it, but why? Like, that's in a way, sort of, that's being lazy. Now,
Right.
if there's a way to do it, then damn it, we doing it.
Push it. You gonna? I like.
Now,
let me
if
say
the
this.
snow was up past the door, then no,
Yeah,
ain't
yeah,
no
exactly.
going to work.
It is some beautiful black women out here, and
Millennium.
this is not about race, okay? This is
Hey.
about characteristics.
Wait a minute. Everything's about race. Everything is about race.
If
It's
you
not-
don't
it's
think
not.
it's about race, then you said a mistake.
No, when you talk about a man going on the outside of what he used to, or on outside of his race, it's not because this woman black and this woman is white. It's because of the different qualities that this woman
But you
embodies.
can't speak.
That
you
way,
can't
that
speak
way
for-
she
you
don't
can't
embody
speak
here.
for all men who do it. Men have different reasons for doing the things that
but
they
here's
do.
the fact.
Right, but the bottom line, everybody know when you connect, if you got some chemistry going with a person, then you got chemistry going with
Well,
a
if you
person.
have an open mind and you can actually speak to that topic and you got good sense in your head, you fall in love with who you fall in love with.
But a
at
lot
the
of
end the day-
men don't recognize good women, and a lot of dudes don't a lot of women don't recognize good dudes.
Well, that's
So-
an
so-
individual problem. That's not.
But
that's
I'm just
not
these
throwing a
are
blanket on everything.
reasons why they go outside, because they're looking for something that they really don't want.
That they don't know what they're looking for.
They don't
Or
know.
that
You
they
can
don't
say
that
that
know
they're
what
looking
they're
for.
looking
That sounds like the person is just confused.
Like I said,
But
like
this
I
guy
said
is
before, like I
looking
said,
for
we
more
don't.
of a moral support or emotional support.
But why you?
What guy?
No, but we
No, on this particular
Oh, okay,
passage.
am I lost?
No, in this particular passage, he's talking about
He said
she
that
don't
he doesn't-
emasculate him. She doesn't. She knows how to be a team player.
Well,
But
she
you know
don't
what?
talk to him
Okay,
any
so
kind of
Byron,
way.
here we go. Let me give it to you. So, on the woman's perspective, yes,
He
there
can't be
is
pushed.
a role that a woman should play, and I'm gonna say that. And men being a man, like I don't violate my husband's masculinity, so to say.
Thank you.
But
Even if it's
a lot
something.
that do though. You know a lot of women
Yes,
that do though,
I
right?
know a whole lot.
And what's their skin color? But it ain't about race. It ain't about
No,
race. It
it's-
ain't about it. It really ain't about race.
I think-
I'm just saying.
It's because,
we-
well, that's just what
we
we see
recognize,
more
we
often.
see it.
Yes, we see that more
But we
often.
know it's in all cultures.
I
But we
think-
coming
I think
from where
it's-
we
I
come
think they're making.
You're watching Sportz Mouth on YouTube.com.